Welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate y'all's support on this episode. I've got a replay sent in from Nitedog from the Clan H Solo in his Scorpion G Tier 8 Premium German TD, which can fight a lot like a medium or maybe even a heavy with no armor. It is a mobile gun with a turret is essentially all this is. A glass cannon, as they say. Can't take a hit but can dish it out and is highly mobile. One of the things about TDs I talk a lot about is getting your gun in the game, even with a casemate. In this case, it's not a casemate, so it's a little bit easier, and the mobility helps as well with this particular TD. But there are also certainly times when your TD should get in a bush up, and be a little more careful, a little more of a standoff weapon or support tank, even though you are going to continue to move up and be effective as far as keeping your gun in the game. You're going to do some standoff. The question then becomes, which one am I going to do? Well, a lot of it has to do with all the rest of the factors. The map, your team, the enemy team, the makeup of the two teams, your position as far as the tier goes. So let's talk about an example where Nitedog's actually going to move up and be a frontline fighter for the most part with his Scorpion. But what makes that work in this match? Well, clearly being a decent player helps that work. But the decision is made pretty early by him to do this. So let's take a look real quick and talk a little bit about analyzing teams and determining when I can do certain things with my tank. In this case, the Scorpion, which is a relatively soft tank and is not really known as a frontline fighter. When might I want to get up into the front? Take a look at the teams. He's top tier, for one thing, in a 3-5-7. One of the better games, if not games, one of the better guns, if not the best gun in the fight out there. There's a 34B, there's a Udes, a 92, a Leo, 3 TDs at tier 7 on the enemy team, a couple artillery, now that's a factor, and then some much smaller things that he can eat alive in about 2 shots. So what does that tell me? It tells me a couple things. Number one, the enemy team has a lot of TDs. I don't expect the average pub player to move their TDs forward very much. Sometimes it happens. If you're running XVM, you may be able to see whether a player is really good or not. That may give you a little more SA. I don't. Maybe Nitedog does. I'm unsure. But I can, with fairly decent reliability, believe that the Udes, the SU-122, and the HTC are probably not really going to get up in the face and brawl, nor is the 100Y. The Challenger might. He's mobile as well. Kind of a similar idea to the Scorpion, except for his gun doesn't have the massive alpha, but it is mobile and has a turret as a TD. So all those things brought in together lets me think and let Nitedog think that, you know what, I can probably fight up front with this tank if I'm careful. The biggest threat's going to be that 34B, at least initially, or getting jumped on by multiple mediums and lights or the artillery. So I'm going to go, or he's going to go, to a spot on the tank where he can minimize those threats. If he goes over to the east side, artillery can have a heyday on him. A lot of that's going to have to do with where the 304 positions, because he can't reach the whole map, but the M12 can certainly hit anywhere on the map. So he's going to head over to what is really, generally and traditionally, the heavy brawling area. So let's see how Nitedog handles this. He's determined that, you know what, the 34B is my biggest threat. I can probably hammer that guy. Let me see if I can go to the heavy brawling area and see what I can do. So he already sees the Challenger. There's a 122-44. This is one of my favorite spots right here. And he blasts the unwary Leo. So the Leo's gone forward, the Challenger gets hit. And the good news is also that he's getting a considerable amount of help. So he is the most forward tank until the IS-2 gets up, so he does need to be careful. There's a tree down, so they're moving up. Here comes that Leo. Punishes the Leo one more time. And now just a little rocking back and forth, at least make the artillery work for it if they're going to try to splash you. There's a Challenger in the middle, and he's getting some guys pushing in. That Challenger's in big trouble. He's not going to be able to handle getting pushed by both those guys. There's the Leo still there. He gets spotted. And the Challenger now out in the open. Nitedog sees him, pops around, nukes that guy. Down he goes. And there's still quite a few guys. So they have invested a decent amount of tanks over here, but it's pretty much worked out the way Nitedog wanted it to. Now, I'm not sure if that guy guessed or if Nitedog was still lit as he started to move forward. That would surprise me a little bit. It seemed like it was a long time, but it's very possible. That does bring into question timing on pushes like that. You do have to be careful. Sometimes I wait maybe 2 seconds past where I thought I was unspotted just to make sure, unless it's a time critical thing. The HTC is up there. So he's finally trundled into the battle. Maybe a little rushed right there, Nitedog. A little bit better aim might have actually been able to get a shot in on him that penetrated. I think we're going to get that happening right here. Yep, he waits nicely, gets down to that lower plate. That's going to go right through an HTC. And there's our 34B, but the problem with the 34B, or the problem he has right now, is he's getting surrounded by multiple tanks. And he's got some near deads and smaller tanks around him, but they're about to take some more losses. Now, Nitedog got spotted right here, and he kind of comes up top. Then he backs off from the HTC. I don't know if I'd have gone up top there. I realize you're trying to avoid the 34B. But up top seems like a very dangerous move for the Scorpion. And in fact, once they see that massive gun up there and in the open with all that light armor, the enemy tends to go after you quickly and with a vengeance because they need to get rid of that gun. There's a 100Y who could actually one-shot him with HE. There's a Type 64 in the middle. And this is probably my least favorite decision you made there, Nitedog, kind of hanging out right here. That's just unlucky. Ended up tracking him and not pending him. And unfortunately, that gets you lit. I'm surprised that T64 or Type 64 didn't figure out how to get a shot in on you right there. Nice job being patient, though, because now that T34 is ripe for the pickings. Oh, unlucky. That is the troll cannon that I remember well with the Scorpion G. It seems like that happens to me quite a bit. I think you might have actually had a shot right there if you'd have backed up just a little bit, but no harm, no foul. You're moving in. Your team did a nice job on the cap, so you sent enough down that way that you didn't get pressured too much. Cap pressure is something I don't like the idea of. I'd much rather kill the rest of the team and not have to worry about putting cap pressure on a team to win. But it is important to understand when you are getting cap pressure, and if you need to put cap pressure on someone, understanding what it means and how to do it. M12, there's a 304, nice shot there. The 304 is out in the open. Probably really didn't even need to back up right there, Nitedog. Maybe worry about the Uds, don't know. That's kind of a standard thing, though. People will shoot and immediately back up, and sometimes it's not a great idea. Sometimes you want to shoot in advance. I do it as well. It's just a habit pattern, because in general you're going to fire and try to back up around a corner or back behind terrain or whatever it is. And unfortunately, your team caps for some unknown reason. They are not interested in the easy hit points. You can see that you're starting to surround the last 3 guys. That would have been more experience for everybody. But it ends up being 2,446. But more importantly, a great example of, based on the map, the fact it was encounter mode, and more specifically the team makeups, Nitedog was able to take what is traditionally a go hide in a bush and sit in the back tank, get up front and just absolutely wreck face with it, be a very important part of the win. Just imagine if he'd have taken his tank and gone to this sniper ridge right here and just sat there for the whole game. How many times have you seen your top tier tank in a 357, just because it's a TD, it's sitting right here, and maybe it pops off 2 shots and you end up losing the game? So nice job, I think, there, Mad Dog, for going, I called you Mad Dog, Nitedog, for going to the important part of the battle, being proactive and active while attacking in there, pushing through there, using your big bully gun and helping your team win. I don't know how many times I may have called you Mad Dog, but there you have it. Alright guys, I hope you liked what you saw. I hope you learned something right here about assessing teams. And as always, we will see you.